And we ready recording.
Good to go.
All right. All right then. So this y'all's last class before we celebrate the pilgrims and shit, huh?
Plymouth Rock.
Oh yeah, okay.
Not the, not.
I don't know. He might say touch. I think that's touch with reality was a little bit. I think. I don't know that word.
Which one?
Touch.
Touch.
T-H-O-U-C-H.
Touch. How you spell touch?
No way.
That's close enough. T-O, not a H.
Yeah.
It's not touch.
Yeah, that's what he said. He tapped me on the hand. He said, "What does touch mean?" I said, "I'm not sure."
I think the marker's broke or something.
It's gotta be.
It's just some thoughts I had from last week, but we don't have to do that. I just wanted to write it down before I forgot. So, anybody got anything on their mind that they want me to address?
Yeah, God didn't make man because it was fun. He did it because he wanted a family.
Okay. It's having a family fun.
I don't know. I don't think you like your family.
So that'd be a great place to start off with, because the first thing I would say is words are not real. Ideas are not real. Period. Okay? So, thus the quote, and I got this from Alan Watt. He said, "A person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about except thinking or thoughts." I just let that settle. And if all we're doing is thinking about thoughts, then we're not in touch with reality. Because words are not reality. You know? When you're thinking about some fond memory, you're not thinking about pictures of fond memories or words about fond memories. You're thinking about a feeling, sensory experience. Right? When you're laughing, heartfelt laughter, that's reality. Talking about laughing is not reality. Okay? There may be some experience below the talking about it that's fun or real or interesting. But the words themselves are just symbols and pictures. And so I'm not going to get hung up on the word fun. I mean, Evil John hit somebody in the mouth because he thought he was angry and pissed off, but it was really kind of interesting and fun. You know, you cling to your cartoon devils and that epic battle struggle in your soul because it's interesting to you. It feels real. But and I'm not saying thinking's bad, thinking's great. But it's a good slave, but it is a horrible master. You know? In our culture, we confuse money with wealth. You know, contracts with real relationships. Some people just want to get their picture in the paper. You know, I've had my picture in the paper. It's not that big a deal. You know. Think about, ponder, when we talk about what we want. What are some things that you want? Just, I mean, it's not a test, just you want to get laid. Or whatever. I mean, don't be all spiritual and stuff, okay? Do what? Adventure. Something to eat. You know? Just think about sex. What is it that you want out of sex?
Get a nut.
What does getting the nut give you? Because just something coming out your urethra is not quite, you know, or you'd be going, oh, every time you pee, you know.
It's a euphoria.
The euphoria, it has nothing to do with words, does it? Has nothing to do with pictures. Generally, your eyes are closed.
Experience.
It's some kind of foundational experience of peace, euphoria. Your ego's broken down. Right? And you get outside that fake world of just thinking. I mean, I would say probably our addictions are connected to some kind of thing like that. It's not necessary. It's not just biology. You know? Because you can have the same biology going on inside your body if somebody's got a Glock pointed at your head as you do getting on a roller coaster. The biology is very similar. Or jumping out of a plane or something like that. And Evil John, when you're not thinking about the demons fighting and you're just I seen you laughing out there. You didn't require steering wheel, right? It's when you get into that illusory world of the cartoon demons doing battle and war, what is that?
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, that and Dungeons and Dragons and all that kind of,
Yeah.
right? But when you're laughing, you're in reality. Even when you're crying, you're in reality. How has it been this week since our last chat?
Well, today was a very interesting day.
What made it interesting?
My federal PO showed up and told me it's not over with.
And?
And I would like to, I don't know. Try to sit back there fucking trying to keep back out of prison.
What was his rationale? What did he say?
He said, well, you bring a urinary device into my office and try to pass a drug test.
A fake pecker?
No, he don't even have it. It's a bag with a pin taped in it. I was from Klonopin, so, you know what I mean? I thought it was just going to go so smooth.
Yeah.
I had this, you know what I mean?
You didn't even put out the money for a fake pecker?
Yeah. I didn't have time. I was busy.
Well, one thing I'm going to tell you, baby, is if the next time he looks you in the eye and goes, this boy's different, is your best chance.
Yeah. That's what I told him.
See? He didn't even call me. Not manipulating the stuff on paper. because that's an illusion. Any of y'all that are dealing with court, all of those decisions, pretty much all of those decisions are based on their emotional response to you. Because if a judge wrote something, they can also unwrite it, because they're the judge. And they're going to do that based on reality, which is the energy you're putting out. You know, how you respond to that kind of same thing. Any of y'all going home for Plymouth Rock Day? You know, that's going to go in large part based on the energy that you're putting out, how you respond to their energy. You know, in your anxiety, you're going to be tempted to get in that illusion world and use words and facts and this, that, and the other. And simply going, experiencing the reality of it. You know? My daddy showed up last night. I ain't seen him in 10 years probably. He didn't show up at my house. He showed up, his brother died Sunday. So this will, I went to the family thing Monday night, and then they had the funeral yesterday, and Daddy came in. But you have to know my daddy's 85 years old and drove from West Louisiana and ended up sitting in the police station downtown Birmingham on 2nd Avenue because he didn't have the address, you know. And he was up all night, and my kids hadn't seen him since, my daughter, since she was a lap baby. And she texted me and said, your daddy's funny and he's cute. And my son said, he's a badass, you know. So I'm going to have some experimenting to do either tonight or tomorrow. Just like y'all. You know. So I'm going to have to breathe. Can't wait till he sees my hair. Yeah, and I'm going to say, you told me to be like Jesus.
That'll work.
Huh?
So I can tell you how that one goes.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, but there's something that I remembered about the Dick men. We're pretty much assholes. In some ways, anyway. At least to each other. And that's how they communicate. They come up and go, hey, motherfucker, I love you. And so, as I'm moving toward this, and I heard this, I'm talking to myself as much as anybody else, you know. Because my stereotype of my father is somebody who didn't drink beer, not because he was morally whatever, but because his body was so buff, he didn't want to mess with his body, you know. And he's still 85 years old. He's got 6 women bringing him pies and stuff, you know. And so my challenge is to experience being in the room with my dad. And perhaps we can see each other as human beings rather than our stereotype stuff. But I can't control what he does, and he can't control what I do. part of my motivation is I think my daughter especially realized that I wasn't born in a test tube after being around Daddy. You know, so she's like, y'all kind of alike. I said, yo. So I'm thinking it's going to be good either way. But my mind went to, okay, he came in to see his brother, because he usually, last time he was here was when Louisiana Tech played Alabama. And that was a minute ago, I think. You know, that's why he came to Birmingham, not to see his grandkids, but to see Louisiana Tech. And he had, we were going to get together at Christmas, and then the day of or the day before, he decided he was going to go deer hunting. Made my babies cry. You know, and I'm like, well, throw dirt on your own damn self. You know, when you. So, and so I was thinking that's what he was going to do this time, but I think he's going to hang out. So that'll be good. Because none of this stuff, even if you're not an addict no more, goes away. Right? Your addiction is not the problem. But now that I'm old, I'm looking at it kind of like, this will be interesting, rather than being all anxious about it. What can I learn about myself? What have I not known about my father? What's it going to be like for my kids to be around and all that, you know? And get connected with my side of the family. But I'm sure there are going to be moments of anxiety. You know, I had to bite my own tongue. You know, or we'll be ended up beating our chest in front of each other, trying to see who's dominant. Right? And if I do that, then I will have failed, I think. You know. Also, I'm not going to roll over and stick my ass in the air either. So finding that balance. Right? Ain't that what gorillas do? When a big monkey comes in, they stick their ass in the air. So, has anybody been wrestling with some theological issues this week? Scriptures that are puzzling?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about scriptures that are puzzling, but I know that, you know, there's such a spectrum, to me, a wide spectrum between what we talk about in your class, what we talk about in the yard, and what we talk about in school, you know, or in class. There's just such a wide range of the battle that you talked about, the good, the bad, you know, evil John and good John, evil guy and good guy, you know, that kind of tug of war that really seems to be hammered home. And I get it and understand the quality. I guess my question would be, kind of answered it in my own way, but I'd like to know your point of view. My question was, how do you know when your thoughts are from God, and how do you know when your thoughts are from Satan, if you're on that track? What I thought about was thoughts that I have, resentments I have, people that have not been forgiven, things of that nature. If I play that tape or those tapes all the way through and there's regret at the end of it, it's probably not the best way to go, the best decision to make. So I guess in the end the question is, how do you know the difference between your thoughts and what you want to do and God's will and what He wants you to do? is there a voice? Is there a tap on the shoulder? I need a big freaking sign on the side of the interstate. I don't know about anybody else, but I need somebody to go with a big arrow, you know, like this, because I can think my way out of just about anything. Certainly pride takes over.
You thought your ass back to Turning Point.
I know it. That's why I'm sitting here. Yeah, I know it. So, yeah, that's my question, or what I wrestle with.
I mean, what to do?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know if there is an answer, but
What does God, command us, or what have we been taught that God commands us to do or be? What's the Creator's will?
well, the Ten Commandments, basically, to me, to be Christ-like, to turn the other cheek, to not gossip, to not, there's 49 commands, 49 commandments in the Bible. I don't know that some people believe that you're supposed to obey, but I've never seen the word obey. I've seen follow, and I've seen try, and I've seen,
Let me write if there's 49, I'm gonna write the 50th one.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I knew you could simplify it.
Well, I don't know, I'm just talking.
Yeah.
And I think it is the most profound, and if you do it, then the 49 will take care of themselves.
Roger that.
Be still. All those other things, I don't know what is in your group, but typically I might could prove me wrong, but I would say all those things we're commanded not to do. The only time we would do something like that is when we're anxious and we're afraid.
Yes. Definitely fear-driven.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that one of the first temptations, I don't remember what order they were in, but when the snake came to Eve, his whole thing was, didn't God say you can't do this, this, and that? And Eve said, no. He said, we can do anything we want, just leave that thing alone. I think when we're in a attitude of rules and don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, it's backwards to Creator's will for you. So whatever happens with me and my daddy don't matter in some ways.
Right.
It's all passing away anyway.
Right.
And I think the degree to which I'm anxious or not anxious, I think the degree to which I'm anxious and if I run my mouth or don't say words that I could say, then I've missed an opportunity, but it's not going to alter the fabric of the universe.
Right.
If the lady you were talking about to me last week finally, on her 47th attempt, finally kills herself, the fabric of the universe ain't going to be altered.
Right.
If you rescue her 46 more times, it's not like you're a bad boy for doing that. I'm looking looking at the thing with Daddy as an opportunity for he and I maybe to get free of some things and spend our energy doing something else,
Sure,
you know?
sure. I did it with my dad a few years ago.
You know, he'll
Pretty
say,
helpful.
"Oh, you been doing that long ass hair, don't you run?" And I say, "Oh, fart, you just jealous or something," and you know, you wish you could grow hair or something, you know. And because I know there's a wide variety of folks that come talk to y'all, you know, and I'm probably the widest variety, you know. But I would say that everybody that speaks to you, there's something you can glean from them,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, worst case scenario, it's their faith, their strength and what they believe in and what's worked for them in their life. You know, their direction and their path might not be something attractive, but the faith that they have certainly is.
You know, I mean, it's a squiggle.
Yeah.
It's a based on all their experience and their training, and we're assuming that everybody's well motivated and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like going to the grocery store. You go when you need a hot dog, you can just go buy hot dogs. You don't buy the whole damn store.
Right.
You know. I don't know how people are with me right now, but generally, probably the most helpful things for folks would be what pisses them off. You know, when this man keeps talking about, why does that bother me so much? Rather than looking for the nugget or the answer or the magic formula that's finally going to make everything all right. Because there ain't one of them. Because in our classes, we're just throwing words back and forth, and words aren't reality. What the reality is what is your sensory state in that,
Right.
as those words are going back and forth and bouncing off your head and you're going yes or no, or he's stupid, or he's the genius, or,
Yeah.
you know. Because there'll be times, I think, when whoever's teaching something in you, you will experience this, you know. I think that's real, whatever real is. Natural, this is real. Now I can talk about me hitting the board, but that's not hitting the board. That's not the sound, the vibrations that hit my ear and all that. Even if I talk about the sound waves moving through the air, it's not this. Because it's that too deep for word place where reality lies. But our tendency is to measure and think and label, add, subtract. And we can fool ourselves into thinking all that activity is real, and it ain't. Does that make any sense at all?
Sure.
Because when we're all in our head, we lose our sense.
Sure.
Says,
Yeah.
in the law, at best, I think Paul wrote in Romans, it's a tutor, a teacher, right? Not the thing itself.
Right.
I remember when me and my wife were at cemetery in Louisville, they had these old steam radiators, and Caleb my oldest was walking. That one. Is it red again? Yep. And because Caleb had there was nothing I could do logically to tell him you're going to burn your hand. I mean, I told him you're going to burn your hand. He don't know what burn your hand means. In that, because that wasn't reality. It's just words. But when he went and touched the radiator, he goes, hot. And he never touched the radiator again. I think that, I mean, have you ever read in Proverbs where it says, don't go have sex with whores because your nuts will catch on fire and this and that and other, and be careful of the woman that's going to, you know?
Yeah.
How many people did that keep from doing that?
Not very many.
I don't think it's as much a warning as he's just saying this is what's going to happen because I've been there. And again, I would posit that the true desires of your heart are all righteous. Everything that you have an impulse toward at its root is righteous. And in God's will, the Creator's will.
I agree with that.
You know? And so I don't think it's helpful to think as much about what not to do. I mean, you already know what not to do.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm kind of going down the road of things that we do know that are right, things that are in our heart that we do, and a lot of times we still get conditioned against acting on those. And I know I second guess myself sometimes, and I have to go, I know that's the right thing to do. You know, it's not always as easy as pulling a kid without a life jacket out of the water. He can't swim. It gets more difficult than that. But I know the decision is correct. I know the thought is correct, and the path is correct. I think about, would I want somebody to treat me that way? Well, yeah, I would, actually.
I think that probably not doing. Okay, who does the battle belong to? Come on, Josh. No.
What the battle?
Huh?
God.
There's a Baptist boy, you know that, don't you?
Okay.
You know. I mean, there's an archetype of it when they marched around the Jericho, and they, and I don't. Where's that quote? The battle belongs to God. It's anyway. Yeah. And we hear that all our life, but we continue to fight the battle as though it's our responsibility.
Well, we're told that it is, or taught that it is, or conditioned that it is, or,
So if the battle belongs to God and we're doing the battling, then who do we think we are?
God. Yeah.
See?
We think we're in control more than we really are.
Now, Evil John's the dungeon master in his mind, though. Calling all the shots.
Shot caller.
John Gotti.
I might be wrong, it's just a thought. I don't think that I've ever done anything long term because I read it in Scripture.
Yeah.
Does it have any of y'all?
No, never.
Except that one week that I was trying real hard. Or whatever. I mean, I don't know, it was just a thought. You know? Because even when I do stuff I say I don't want to do, I end up doing it because I want to. You know? Because I want to be sober that day, or I want to whatever. Monday, my daughter she had 10 or 12 kids come over to the house, and my wife wanted me to be there. And I'm like, because, you know, it was my Plato's Groove Monday night thing. And so I decided to be there, and I didn't do it because I did it because I wanted to. Not because even if I do it just because I want to be a good husband, I'm doing it because I want to be a good husband.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Not because I read it in scripture. It said, God says you got to be there Monday. Because in our culture and our interactions at church or family or whatever, has anybody been in here ever been called selfish? Okay.
Selfish, yes. Very selfish.
Very selfish. Okay.
It's not the physical aspect of it.
Selfish.
You know what I'm saying?
I would say that we've been taught the wrong definition of that word.
Yeah, that's it.
You know. Everything we do is selfish. Everything. If I eat, I'm selfish. If I give money to church, I'm selfish. Because I want Jesus to love me more than I want that $5.25 or whatever. You know? I would have us consider that it may be that we need to become truly selfish. And that what we've been doing that other folks have labeled as selfish is not selfish, it's retarded. You know, unless it is that you want to go to federal prison. Right?
Yeah, you're making a run there.
You know, so it would seem to me the real selfish thing is to not go to federal prison. Yet you were acting in ways that people labeled as selfish that had the potential of getting you back into prison. That seems tarded, not selfish. You know? But my guess is there was something intriguing about the video game you play in your head that was more interesting than your fear of prison.
Yeah.
You know?
I was on level 10.
Just about to level, get some XPs, huh?
Yeah, I think it's next piece.
Yet we find ourselves in a place where we have confused reality with these words and these games in our head and these thoughts, and we just think about thoughts and we're not living. We're not in the moment. Because if I'm in the moment, if you're in the moment, John, you don't need Seroquel.
Right.
Right?
Right.
when y'all are out here just laughing and you're not in your head, ain't nobody really craving no dope. Right? It's just when you get in your head that you start craving the dope or whatever. And you're starting to crave the dope because you're not in reality. Right? Does that make any sense? Because when you have your senses, you don't need dope to be alive or feel alive. What, baby? Did you raise your hand? You know, I mean, where'd that fella? Did he go home? Gonna pass? You know, because he's going home to be with the woman who wants to divorce him. Right? She says, this week. And I didn't talk to him much last week, but before that, he was in his head about that stuff, making himself crazy, right? And playing out all these scenarios in his head. You know, there's like a video game when you start a new one. Call of Duty, you know, when you do the mission to start with, and you run up in there and get blowed up. You know, then you restart it, or however, I don't remember, or you get some more lives or whatever, and you get to that point and you try to do something different till you get blowed up again. And how many hours has anybody ever spent on a video game at once?
7.
7 hours. How many days a week? Huh? And you were up for 5 days, so you was, you know, geeked out and playing Call of Duty with the 8-year-old Filipino boys that are kicking your ass. But it felt real. You know? And when you're out on the street playing Grand Theft Auto with real people, it feels real. But it wasn't. It's the same. Right now it's real. When you have your senses and you're chilled. You know, because there are times when you may need to hit somebody in the mouth. You know? I mean, what would Jesus do? Well, he may make a rope and beat your ass with it, or a whip and beat your ass with it. So if we're going to be like Jesus, that's at least that's an option. We have to be prepared to make a whip and beat people's ass. Okay? But my guess is, to the extent that I am in my own body, I'm incarnate. You know, I don't really have to worry about rules. You know, I don't have to go, well, 1 John 27:42 says, because that ain't gonna make me change anyway.
Right.
I mean, some of y'all good Christians, it may help, but it don't help me. The good that I get out of Scripture sometimes is the sense of, yeah, that make, you know, yeah. Where there's some resonance and it makes sense. And it may be that 5 years from now I read that Scripture again and I go, oh, you know. But I spent 23 years fooling around with words and concepts and philosophy and theology and psychology and all this stuff. and was fairly good at it. But it didn't answer anything. I mean, I wrote papers so that I could get one paper on the wall. And that's about what it's worth. You know. It's just interesting to me, or maybe if I understand what's going on in the room, that there's not a lot of lights and pop sounds and distractions, and everybody in a situation like this in another place, I think folks would be very anxious because y'all are still. You know what I'm saying? And stillness in our culture is odd, ain't it? If things get still, then anxiety comes up. And somebody will crack a joke or, you know. Because in as much as y'all are in this vibe with me, you ain't craving dope. Are you? And it costs no money. You don't have to have the psychiatry guy putting a label on you and throwing a pill down your throat.
I got crazy medicine.
Well, that's fine. I ain't mad at you. But what kind of crazy medicine?
Zoloft.
What's it for?
Antidepressant.
So you say it?
No.
No?
Yeah. It depends on what day of the week it is.
But Zoloft ain't crazy medicine. It's something else. Seroquel's crazy medicine. Talk to Crazy John about that.
Crazy John, get some your pills.
But the deal is, it's only Crazy John that needs that medicine. Real John don't.
Right.
You know? So many times in our life we treat the symptoms as though they're our enemies.
Really, really, I need to. I guess I need to listen to all them thoughts and all them pictures I have in my fucking head at night time. Because it's really what I'm running from. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, everything I don't want to hear and everything that I don't want to see, it's there. I'm like,
What are you saying? What are you saying?
huh?
What are you saying?
It's all the bad shit, you know what I'm saying? It's what I've done, or how I could have done it different, or why did I do it, or just,
Well, you already know all that.
there's a bunch of people I just need to apologize to. You know
Well, you can do that.
what I'm saying? I gotta get that off my chest. I don't know what I was thinking.
You won. You're scared.
Yeah, exactly.
And underneath that is grief, terrible grief. You know? Because I thought about you after I left. And I don't know if this will sting or not, but I don't intend it to be hurtful. But in our conversation last week, you were mad at God, not really because He took them, but because of what it made you feel like.
Yeah.
It wasn't even about these people you said you loved.
Yeah.
It was about me,
Me. Selfish.
you know. And that's not bad, because we're all this way,
Yeah.
you know. But I ain't mad. Take your pills, okay? You know. But begin to notice that when you're laughing, you don't need them. When you're actually crying, because you probably got some stuff to be sad about, baby, that you ain't never dealt with, right? And your face is turning fucking red. So, I mean, that's some emotional stuff,
Okay.
you know?
Now, Jake, you gonna cross that bridge today, buddy?
Oh, Lord.
Turn up.
Start to turn back. Don't do it.
Just
No, not like that.
be still, baby,
Yeah.
and watch it. Because the Creator, you and the Creator already know what you need. You be still and the healing will come. And really the healing is just remembering who you really are and that you're not all this stuff, you know? Because when Paul talks about the self, he's talking about the false self. Die to self stuff. The one that thinks he's God in us needs to die. And the one that thinks he's God in us is the one doing all this thinking about stuff all the time. And God's saying, baby, why don't you just laugh? Smell the oak leaves out there. Feel the sun on your skin. Walk barefoot around here and feel how cool that feels. What you laughing at, Josh? Because that's real. All our thoughts about it ain't. Period. It's just thoughts about thoughts. And it's fun to have experience and then think about it. But we keep looking in the mirror thinking that's us, and it ain't. Our thoughts are just reflections of who we are. And ain't nobody in here looked in their own eyes or bit their own teeth except maybe Josh when he was on that shit.
He looked in his own eyes.
But even that was a sensory thing in your head. Because I think the sense and the urgency to do something don't come from your Creator. Like you said, if there's a young'un drowning in the water, you know. But I don't know what percentage it'll be of all this stuff we're thinking and doing. It makes no difference anyway. More times than not, it just keeps things stirred up. Going around and around and around on the same old pattern. I had one of my mentors told me, if you think you must do something, run like hell. You know. I mean, God gave us this part of our brain that has anxiety, and it makes us want to run or fight. And that's good if you're living around saber-toothed tigers. There ain't many saber-toothed tigers in Chilton County. You know, what are the hardships we deal with day to day, even at this bad place called Turning Point? Getting up. 15 minutes, I gotta sweep my room.
Going to Tuesday.
Yeah, that son of a bitch. You know? Or some retard gets on their nerves, or we're the retard getting on somebody else's nerves or something. But we still feel the same anxiety level, somehow. As though all this stuff is important and real. And
Yeah.